Hi everyone, my name is Christine Davis and I've taught both the traditional and the Project Me version of orientation, and so I wanted to share with you some of the major differences as you make this transition. So as you can see, on the left I have the traditional version and on the right I have Project Me, and I'm going to simply just compare the two a little bit. So from the very start there is a slight difference in the look of the courses, but there's not a whole lot that's going to affect you as far as the design or layout of the course. So I'm going to open the modules, and this is where you're really going to begin to see some differences. So I'm going to close up these modules so that you can see the path that your students will take as they take both of these courses, and you'll begin to notice some of the major differences as well. All right, so on the left, this is the traditional course. On the right, this is Project Me. So even just by looking at the module materials, you can see that there is a little bit more here on the right side for Project Me, and that's simply because the course objectives for Project Me and the QEP go a little bit deeper than our traditional orientation course. So there are some additional activities that students have to complete. So from the start, you always have a Getting Started module. That won't change, but in Project Me, the first week, what they're going to be experiencing is actually a module all about the QEP and Project Me. This is not going to add a whole lot of work to your students' plate. This is just going to inform them about why they're in this course, what the QEP means, and then they'll have a little quiz about this. You'll recognize here at the end that there's the digital dive typing assessment. That was also in the traditional course, just in a different place. Now, I do want to point out while we're here that this quiz for the QEP in the first week is a little bit different in that there is one question that you will have to manually grade. So everything in the traditional course is self-grading. This one is self-grading up to question 4. So for question 5, you'll have to go in and manually give students points for this question: what does self-sufficiency mean to you? So you'll just go in and give them some version of 20 points depending on what you think they did. So that's a slight difference. Also, in the Getting Started module, you'll see information about the Capstone Project. The Capstone Project is something that they will work on throughout their course. So this is not something that you will see in the traditional orientation course. And it's basically where the students are kind of drawing out a career path for themselves. What do they need to do as far as schooling, what they're going to major in, where they're going to go, and then how much it will cost them, and things like that. So they'll be working on this throughout their time, and you'll begin to see as I go through the modules some little pieces and parts of the Capstone Project that will help prepare them for their final project at the end. So improving class performance is in both the traditional and the Project Me version of this course. Student rights and responsibilities are as well. The midterm exam will continue to be the handbook and catalog quiz as usual. Student services is in both. Here's a slight difference. We have a personal and social adjustment module. This is specifically related to the goals and objectives for the QEP and Project Me. So they're going to have some reading material and some videos to watch about locus of control and self-efficacy. And then they'll do a discussion, which has a very similar rubric to rubrics you've seen in the traditional course. You'll notice a digital dive that was in a different place in the other course, but it's the same material. College completion initiatives are in both, but you'll notice that they're in week 7 over here and they're just in week 4 over here, just a different order. So week 4, career exploration. This is where they're going to begin to get into their Capstone Project. So they're going to do a couple of activities, one being the career coach, which is on Heinz' website. Your students will really enjoy this. They actually take a quiz that's personal, and it matches their interests and their hobbies and their skills to the career that they may want to do. And then they will actually turn in the first part of their Capstone Project, which is about career exploration. So what they're doing is they're building it. They're just scaffolding. They're building a small part of their Capstone Project here. They'll build another part in another module and continue on until the very end where they'll combine it all. You'll recognize this digital dive as well. All right, so student finance is going to be the same. They're going to do the financial lab, and it does continue right now to count for 40% of their score, but we are looking at changing that up a little bit. Education and career planning is what we do over here. They kind of combine two modules, and ours are separate, career and then education planning over here. And then we have what happens next and finishing up. All these things are very similar, except for that they're going to be submitting their final capstone project. So for this particular project, they're actually going to be writing a one-page paper, double-spaced. It's very, very short, but they're just going to be summarizing their work that they did in these two projects. So or in these two capstone continued projects. So it says to review the preliminary capstone assignments. So they'll be able to click here on the assignments that they already turned in, and they're going to combine all of that information into one final paper for their project. There is a rubric associated with this, and it's the same rubric that they will have been able to look at for their first two capstones, or the first two parts of the capstone. So they should be very familiar with this by now. And it does link to one of the course objectives. So back to the modules, there is one other additional piece, and I think it's going to be in week 8, and that is that they have a post questionnaire. I forgot to show, but there is a pre-course questionnaire. This is basically a pre and post test to see how much they know about Hines, how much they know about themselves, how much they know about basically those course objectives for Project Me, and then instructional affairs, or Carly Deer, she can compare the pre and post tests and use that for some of our QEP data. And of course, reflection is something different. This is information that we're collecting specifically for Project Me so that we can improve the offerings. We went ahead and put this in as a grade because we do want to get feedback from students about this. So it's simply going to ask questions like, which of these were the most beneficial to you? Which were the least beneficial? Did you enjoy having a teacher who also served as your mentor? Do you feel that it added any value to your educational experience? And then an open-ended question that's going to allow them to give us any other feedback. So the other thing that I want to show you real quick is that currently there are 2 mentor meetings built into this course, which you'll get to talk about that a little bit more later. But on the mentor meetings, there is, in this text box up here, you can actually see the questions that you'll want to go over with your students. These are based on the appreciative advising steps. Stephanie Hudson made these, so these are very specific, and these are the questions that really need to be asked in order to fill out this rubric, which is not going to affect their grade, but we do want to see how far in the appreciative advising process they're getting. So when it comes to delivering or giving feedback or designing their plan for their life, are they meeting expectations? Are they exceeding expectations? And it's a total of 200 points, but like I said, it won't count toward their grade. You'll simply give them a grade for completing the mentor meeting, but this will give us some data about the appreciative advising process. So it's very important that in addition to asking these questions and giving your students a grade, that you fill out the rubric so that we can see how far they're getting in the appreciative advising process. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you have a great time mentoring and teaching.